30. $15. How's it going, Rick?
Good evening, Paul, and welcome everybody to another exciting episode of On the Hunt with Alpin Optics. I know we missed last week, Paul. You had a few things going on, but we are back live tonight, and I think we will be going forward here. So, anyways, my guest tonight comes all the way from Pennsylvania, Mr. Ron Toth. And we're going to talk some early season things that you can do to get ready for deer season. So we'll get right back with you after a quick message.
All right. So it's been what, 2 weeks since we saw you last, Rick?
It has been, so I winded my turkey season down here just this last week, and I was up in Pennsylvania. That's where Ron's at. I was up in Michigan, up in the Upper Peninsula, the UP of Michigan, hunting with good friend Pat Muffler and a real good buddy of mine, Jimmy Schlender. And we had a fantastic hunt. In fact, I think we tagged out in a day and a half. So we did really good. So how you doing this evening, Paul?
Me? I'm just fine.
Yeah, Paul comes from the office, so he not only gets to throw the show, he's in the day in and day out routine of business down in Arkansas. But anyways, hey, my guest, as I mentioned,
for our sister company, Explore Scientific, I run 3 to 4 live shows a day, and then I do this one once a week with you.
There you go. So listen, guys, if there's any mistakes,
it's
call
my
Paul.
fault. Yes.
Okay, call Paul. All right. Well, listen, let's jump right into the show.
I want to say thanks, Rick. I appreciate that.
Certainly. But anyways, on with the show. My guest has been on the show a couple of times, I believe, and he comes all the way from Pennsylvania, Mr. Ron Toth. How you doing this evening, Ron?
Good. How's everyone else doing?
Well, I think good. I understand your weather is a little bit balmier than ours here today.
Yeah, it's about when I came home from work, it was 90. My car was reading 90 degrees. So it's humid and 90 degrees. Not too comfortable.
Yeah. Well, here in Iowa, we get a little bit of everything. I mean, we get hot weather, we get extremely cold weather, and we get beautiful weather. And right now we have beautiful weather. It's like 73 degrees, 74 degrees and sunny and no humidity and just absolutely beautiful. So, but anyways, how was your turkey season? I know, turkey season ended with the exception, I think, of Maine, which was still open for a couple more days or another day anyways. But your season just ended yesterday, and so did a lot of the seasons out east and Kansas and South Dakota and some places like that. But how'd you end up?
It was very good, Rick. had a lot of action this year. I don't think there was one time I went out that I didn't hear nothing. So a lot of talking. The birds were responsive to all the calls, and I get feedback from other hunters that say that they were kind of quiet, but where I hunted, they were pretty vocal.
So tell the people, and I don't want to talk turkey hunting too long because we've been doing it for 3 months. But now that season's over, we can just kind of end things. But tell people what you're faced with out there hunting. So here in Iowa, if I head out to a good spot early morning and turkeys are gobbling good, I'm going to hear 15 to 20 gobblers all within a quarter mile, and I know that's not what you're going to hear, and I know that's not what you're going to hear when you go down to Georgia and Mississippi and Louisiana and and places like that. But what's a good morning for you?
Well, if you're the hardest thing up here is the hills in the mountains, because if you're on the wrong side of the hill and you hear that the only gobbler you're hearing, or all the gobblers you're hearing are on the other mountain, it's kind of tough to get to them. And hopefully they stay vocal. So it all depends on where you're hunting. Up north, you have a lot of big mountains. Where I live in southwestern PA, where the mountains are a lot. We'll call them hills. They're not mountains, but it's very thick. So you have to, sometimes you're just caught. The last turkey I called in for a young guy that I know very well. We heard one in the morning. And I was like, I don't even know how to get to that. He said, well, we'll go down in this valley. Well, next thing you know, we're in just the middle of a thicket. I was like, we can't make no more moves. I can't call from here. So luckily we heard some other ones and I was able to call those ones in. But it's just timing and being able to know the woods and see if you can get to that bird while he's still vocal.
Do you sometimes go out, or have there been mornings that you've been out and not heard a turkey gobble?
No.
So usually you always
hear one. Yeah, I'm very fortunate, Rick. I know another thing about me is I know a lot of people and I have access to a lot of property. And that really helps me out. This year's bird was the 32nd year straight that I killed a gobbler in Pennsylvania.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic. All right. So turkey season is over. We're done talking turkeys for now. Unless somebody has a turkey question, we'll be glad to answer it. But, I wanted to talk a little bit tonight. Now, I know deer season's a few months away, and maybe not as, some states open up in, I think, even in August. I believe there's a couple states. But I want to talk a little bit tonight about what can we do to prepare for deer season? What can we do now that will maybe help us be more successful? And I'm not really wanting to talk about going out and scouting and things like that, but there are some things that you can do now to get ahead of the game and help you in the long run. And Ron, I wanted to touch a little bit about that and get some of your thoughts and ideas, and I have a few, but what's your thoughts there?
Well, understanding the deer, understanding the animal itself is a big factor. A lot of, I don't know if this is a true statement, but I believe deer are on hot days such as this in Pennsylvania. They're not real active, so they just lay around all day because they get hot too. And setting up tree cameras, not to know more like where they're traveling, but know what's in the area. So what I would suggest is a water source. And then a lot of times in the summer, a deer will not go far away from its food source. They'll lay right down by a clover field or whatever they're eating that particular day.
Do you what time of year do you generally put out your trail cams? I mean, do you have a kind of a plan, or do you just do it whenever you feel like it, or what's your thoughts?
Well, with right now, if I would show you the foliage now, what I'm looking at, because I can see the mountain across the river from my house. If you put out a tree camera now, it's going to be pretty hard to get any good pictures unless that deer's right next to the camera, because it is so thick down here in the southwest of Pennsylvania. So I try to wait till the foliage starts to lighten up a little bit, and that's kind of hard because most people know that autumn comes in September and goes through October, but foliage is very tough, but if you do set up a camera, you got to find areas that you have some opening that you can get some nice pictures. So when do I start putting them out? Well, first thing I do is I just go for walks. I go for walks in the woods and start, I don't take my cameras with me. I'll go walking in the woods, and then I'll go on today's technology and mark the area that I'm walking that I could possibly set up a camera.
Are you allowed to put cameras over bait or not?
I do believe in Pennsylvania you can't hunt over bait.
Right.
But you're allowed to put a camera.
Yeah,
on.
same thing here. And go ahead.
Yeah, but it's anything to get that deer, that animal, to get a visual of what's in the area. It never hurts.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. I want early season. Now I put my cameras out, generally speaking, in July. Okay, that's when I put mine out. Now our foliage is going to be thick from now, into October when we get our first frost. But we don't have the mountains that you have here, and it's not, maybe we do have some thick areas, especially around here where we've had a terrible storm a couple of years ago. A lot of our trees are still down, are down, but the travel routes are so easy to find. They look like cow paths. I mean, cattle trails. And so I like to put my cameras up on those travel routes, perhaps a finger that comes out into an alfalfa field. It's pretty easy to figure out the travel route of deer, this time of the year. But I want an inventory of what I have for deer. I'm not concerned about how they're traveling that time of year. I get pretty serious about that, as soon as they go hard horn that second week in September. That's when I really start to pay attention. But if I put a camera up now, and actually I do have a couple up that I've left up from last year, but you just can't tell a lot because there's not a lot of antler growth yet. But come July, you start to see which deer, and if you've been doing it for a few years, what deer that is, and you kind of get to watch him blossom into whatever he's going to be. So that's what I really enjoy. And then as I get a little closer, like I said, into September, I really start paying attention to how they're moving, and that's just for early season hunting, because when the rut starts, you can kind of throw all that out the window, so to speak.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely.
What
do you believe on? What's your belief on protein blocks?
Oh, I think protein blocks are an excellent thing, especially in areas like in Iowa, for instance. We have a lot of protein in the ground and some things, and we have, of course, corn and and all kinds of foods and stuff with protein. But I think protein blocks are an excellent thing. If I do know that if you have a protein block that has any kind of grain in it, you're going to get all kinds of pictures of raccoons and possum and all kinds of other things, squirrels and so on and so forth. But what about, this is another thing that I like to do this time of the year. This is the time of the year to get your tree stands out and make sure they're in safe working condition. If your seats have been chewed up by squirrels or whatever, it's time to replace the seats. Check the straps, check the chains, just make sure everything's sound. If you're going to paint them, touch them up. This is an excellent time of the year to do that. I don't know what do you do for, to keep your tree stands lasting for years?
Well, most of my, I only have a few of them up, but most of them that I have is detachable seats. So it's just a metal stand with a detachable seat. So when I leave in October, November, that stand, the seat comes with me. But, you go and check your straps to make sure that they're secure. And then also make sure the tree is still standing that you put your stand up in.
That's right. Now, do you like ladder stands, or are you a lock-on guy? Or
I'm a ladder stand guy.
Okay, well, I would imagine eventually I will. I don't even own a ladder stand, and I'm not saying they're not nice. I've hunted out of ladder stands, and I do like them. But I'm a lock-on guy, and I've got lots of them. And as long as I'm in good enough shape to climb up in a tree and hang those lock-ons, that's what I'm going to use. But ladder stands, they are nice, especially if you're going to leave them up for several years in a row, really all you got to do is just replace the straps every now and then,
Right.
and you're good to go. Now, what about
And it also keeps you out of the woods.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. What about practice? With the equipment you're going to be hunting with, whether it's a shotgun, a rifle, a bow. I mean, this is the time of the year that a lot of people are buying new bows, and they're getting maybe new arrows, and maybe they're trying out a new broadhead. I mean, this is the time of the year that trial and error. If you're gonna try different broadheads, go out and do it when it's nice out in a controlled environment. Don't do it when it's freezing cold and you don't take the time and you try to rush everything and hurry or if it's a windy day and it's a week before season and I got to get this figured out. Don't get to that position. This is the time of the year to figure it out. You got plenty of time, and muscle memory will make you a better bow shooter. I know for a fact. So, and the same thing with your guns. I think you guys have a shotgun season in Pennsylvania. Is that right? Or do you have rifles?
We have a rifle season, but we have a shotgun only county.
Okay. So in Iowa here, we can hunt with slugs, shotguns. Now we also a few years ago legalized straight wall jacket rifles, but again, they're about as accurate in my opinion, as a shotgun or a muzzleloader. So, get out and practice, and you better figure out. I can tell you, here's a big tip for you. If you find ammo in the store right now, buy it. Because you might not have it prior to deer season. I don't know how hard it is to get ammo out your way, but it's not easy right here, right now.
Well, what I see, I don't know if you ever see the same thing, Rick. What I see is a lot of the archery hunters, they practice on a flat surface, shooting into a target. When you're in a tree, that's not what happens. So if you have access to go to a sportsman's club that have different targets and different heights that you can climb up in the trees and elevate yourself and practice that way, that'll also make you a better hunter.
Right. But I don't recommend people go sight their bow in on an elevated stand. I think they should, in my opinion, sight it in on flat ground, but then also climb up in that stand and find out how their bow shoots, because different elevations make a big difference too on how your arrow flight is. You being out in the mountains, your arrows are going to fly different than mine are here in the Midwest, as it would if you're out in Colorado where the air's a lot lighter. Arrows travel completely different. So you really do need to practice that. And if you're doing something as simple as changing the weight of your arrow, you better get out and shoot, because it's going to shoot differently, just like not only a different weighted broadhead, but just a different broadhead in general will fly different. And what do you shoot for broadheads? Just out of curiosity, what do you like?
I think I'm shooting, what is it, a G5?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I shot G5s. Yep, they're good. Yep, they're a good broadhead. I've been the last couple of years, a few years actually, I've been shooting interlocks. Excuse me, and I've had tremendous luck with them. They've got a new broadhead out called the Carnage, and I love that broadhead. Not only for deer, but for very good for turkeys too. So, but anyways, lots of good broadheads out there. I've had good experiences with some broadheads, and I've had bad experiences with others. So again, whatever you're shooting, get out and practice with that broadhead, so that any problems that you may have, you have prior to deer season. So what else can we do? What else can we do early?
Well, you want something simple as just make sure you're in shape. So get out, walk around, make sure you're in shape. You kill a deer in September and you sit around all summer long and you just go to picnics and just eat and have fun. And then all of a sudden you have to drag 140 pound deer up. Things could happen. So make sure you keep in shape.
Me?
No, I'm not picking on you.
Because that's been all I ever do, I think.
But yeah, it's common sense, Rick, and a lot of times it's just common sense. Even go ask the landowner that you're hunting on, is it okay for you to hunt again this year? It's just a lot of things that you can set up for it, or go and find a new area. whether it be
I'm
public land or private land.
I am glad you said that, because I was waiting for you to bring that up. Two very key things to do this time of year, because the typical landowner, they become friends. They're friends when you go and hunt their property. You treat them like friends, and you treat the property like it's your own. But one of the things that a couple of farmers I hunt on will tell me, how come I only see you during hunting season? Well, what they're getting at is they'd like to see you prior to. They go up and tell them, I'm coming up this weekend and I'm going to help you bale hay, or work cattle, or clean this and mend fences, whatever. That goes a long ways, and secure your property early, because out of sight, out of mind sometimes. And sometimes if you wait till hunting season, I've had this happen, and you go and you talk to them, hey, I'll be out hunting. Oh, wait a minute, I didn't hear from you, and I'm letting so-and-so hunt this year. So, that can happen. And if you're trying to find some new places to hunt, right now is the perfect time, because you can stop in, you can talk to those folks, you can introduce yourself. And, if you don't get a terrible, absolutely not, you might, if he says, well, I don't know, we'll have to see, something, then a month later you can stop back and, drop off that turkey you bought in the store. And, hey, I just wanted to drop this off, and I appreciate you, just considering it. And I'd love to hunt, and, you can secure some places that way. The other thing too, some states want you to have some type of liability insurance, so that if you get hurt on their property, it's not an issue. And that seems to be a big thing for some of the landowners nowadays. So there are some different programs. I used to be able to get a policy through the NWTF. I don't know if you can anymore or not, but you used to be able to do some of that stuff, I believe. So might be something to consider as well. Would you let me hunt if you're not liable for anything that might happen? And that can open the door too. So, but scouting, I said, I don't do a lot of scouting this year. Well, I don't typically do a lot of scouting this year. However, what I do, I'm not really scouting deer, but I'm scouting tree stand locations. I do like to do that this time of the year. Now, is it that I go out in the woods and say, oh, okay, here's where they're traveling? No. What I do is I remember what last season taught me. And, I had a lot of deer that were coming out, and they were coming out this finger, or because deer change their travel patterns from year to year. One year this is hot, the next year this is hot, so, maybe it's a deadfall. Man, there's a lot of deer that came out around that deadfall, when last November, you're sitting there saying, I need to have a stand over there this year. Well, right now is a good time to go out and kind of explore that and figure out if that's in fact, a tree stand location. So, thoughts on that?
Definitely. But about scouting, getting back to the owner of the property, there's nobody that knows more what's on that property than he or she does. So if you get to know them well, you can say, what's around? What are you seeing? And they'll tell you.
Yep.
They'll tell you exactly what's there. And you don't never
And,
even have to be there.
That's right. And I always resort back to trail cams, which, we have two trail cams that we have available. And one is, our trail cams are just inexpensive, but great quality. 5 megapixel IRs, you can view through the screen on the camera. But we have one that's as simple as putting the batteries in, SD card, mini SD card, and just turning the switch on and walking away from it. It's that easy. What I like about our cameras is I've got some Bresser cameras that I've put batteries in that I've gotten 2 full seasons out of. They last a long time. And then we've got the Gen 2 camera, which has all the fancy settings and different megapixel settings and different speeds and times and all kinds of things. So, and what I like about an inexpensive camera, and I've talked about this a lot of times over the years, if I have to spend $200 and $300 for a camera, first of all, I'm going to put it in a spot that no one's going to find it. You don't want someone taking a camera like that. But generally, you don't go out and buy a dozen of them. They're expensive. Inexpensive
Correct.
cameras, I buy a lot of them, position them all over the farm, and now I'm getting deer pictures of the same deer on different cameras, and that helps me decide how they're moving through the timber, maybe what food source they're eating. Maybe they're in one food source in the morning and I'm catching them on another one in the evening, and I know that they're over here in the morning and they're over here in the evening, and so they're probably heading that direction. I put some in the woods. I mean, cameras can tell you so much, and as you said, the landowner can tell you a lot too, but you got to get in the timber and figure these deer out, because you may only have one opportunity at a good deer.
Well, also look for potential food mass, because we all know that the deer's number one thing that search for in the woods that it likes to eat is acorns. At least in Pennsylvania. So of course, you have a lot of people planting corn, which that never hurts. But like you said, going into the hardwoods, let's see what the acorns trees look like. See if they're starting to produce anything. That helps as you're taking your little hikes. I take a lot of hikes in the woods. I take a lot of walks. I spray down with um, scent cover, and I just take a lot of walks in the woods and just analyze what I'm seeing. The trails, like you said, some of the trails look like motorcycle or quad trails. Analyze that. Find a spot or two that you can put up a camera that you have a nice few yards of visibility that this camera will be able to take a nice picture or two, and then put that up, and then just keep walking again. But I use technology a lot of marking all my spots that I find out, instead of taking the old days. You take a little notes, or you have a little topographical map that you're putting little X's on. But today's technology, you can just use GPS and mark a spot.
Right now, you go out, you harvest a deer, and you've got them cleaned and butchered, and you take that backstrap. What's your favorite backstrap recipes? How do you cook it?
I'm just simple. I'm just very simple. Butter, fry it, salt, pepper, garlic, maybe a little bit of onion powder. I'm very simple. I'm nothing fancy like you with your cream
Well,
cheese.
hey, there's nothing wrong with that, because we probably have a few people watching the show right now that have zero cooking skills, so that's a good thing. But it's funny you say that, because I go down in the southern states and they fry a lot of deer steaks, and up in this neck of the woods, we don't do that too much. I mean, it's done, but you throw them on the grill, or not a lot of people pan frying them. But anyways, we just got through with our mushroom season. Do you guys have a mushroom season out there much, or?
Yeah, I didn't get out much for that. Work took a lot of my time up in the spring, and then a few times going out hunting and taking people out hunting. I didn't have a time to go hunt. Last year I found a few, but I did talk to some of my friends that hunt mushrooms, and they said that it was a very fast year for them. Probably because of the heat that came in so fast.
Right. Paul, do we have any questions tonight? Anybody throwing any comments out there we need to know about?
Let's see here. We've got one. And
somebody was building a fence and wanted you to come out, Rick, and help them.
That's right.
There it is.
Yep.
Who's that?
Bruce needs help building fences. You might get a chance to hunt here if you help build the fence. Becky Messer-Whitaker.
Well, Becky, I'm always willing to help out, but this a big. I've been nonstop busy here. I've got so many projects to do at my house that I don't know if I'm ever going to get them done. Really. So, anyways, what else you got going on, Ron? What do you?
Is that a no?
Well, it's not a no, but it's not a yes at this point. Tell her she'll have to contact me and we can negotiate this.
Wow.
What have you been doing any fishing, Ron?
Yeah, a little bit of trout fishing. A little bit of trout fishing. Yeah, the trout fishing's been good this year. But yeah, I'm just getting ready. I'm just getting ready for fall to come up, and show up at some sportsmen's clubs, and youth days coming up in June at one of them. So I like to go and attend that and help out the kids. So yeah, off season stuff.
That's good.
So now,
All right.
Ron, you have another specialty, and that is knowing the difference between wines.
Yeah.
Oh yes, he knows that.
And
What's your question,
and
Paul?
so we have we always forget, and I'm sure I could just Google it and go on. We always forget to get when I'm making anything chicken. That's a white, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
All depends
So,
on the sauce you're putting on the chicken.
okay. So like a chicken cacciatore, for example.
That would be a white, probably a Chardonnay, Paul.
That's what I cook it with. So I put Chardonnay. I found that if you take yellowtail and you throw that in your, throw about a cup of that in your chicken cacciatore, it makes it so much better.
Another gourmet chef. You and Rick. Another gourmet chef. Wow. Here I am just frying up steak with butter and salt and pepper, and there you guys.
So the
showing off
steak
again.
though is a Merlot or something like that. What is that?
Steak would probably be a Cabernet or Malbec.
Nice. So what? So if Rick's making his deer,
Yeah, he puts
Recipe.
some. I think he puts. Well, it's gorgonzola cheese you put in yours, Rick.
Yeah.
I remember that recipe. Yeah. So yeah, he could wash that down. Yeah, Cabernet would go great with that.
okay. What about buffalo?
I'm a sweet wine guy. I like the sweet wines, and I think Ron is a dry wine guy if I remember right. But
Rick
I
probably
love
only
the sweet wines.
Rick probably only drinks cordials. To be honest with you.
I drank a lot of
Rick,
Mogan David in my day.
Oh my goodness!
The old
How
Mad
about-
Dog 2020.
Yeah.
I'll plead the fifth on that one.
Yeah. We don't need any of that. Thank you. It's like
Yeah.
you know.
What do
Anyway.
you got, Ron? What do you have for hunts coming up this fall? What's are you doing anything other than Pennsylvania at all, or?
No, that's all I ever do, Rick, because with me, my business, fall is very, very busy for me.
Right.
And I can't leave. Very seldom I can leave anywhere, So, no, I'll just stay in Pennsylvania, see but I'm to a point now, I don't kill for meat. And that might get a lot of people mad, but I don't kill for meat. If I'm going to take the time and I'm going to go in the woods and I'm going to drag out something, it's going to be a nice thing to drag out. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I kind of do both. I mean, I like to shoot. I go after a specific deer, but I also like the deer meat. So I don't lessen the deer I want to shoot because of the deer meat, but I do want to end up being successful and if it comes down to it, I'll shoot a couple of does, which really are in the most cases a little better eating anyways. But we have so many does here. But I've got onto a few things. I started butchering. I've been butchering my own deer for years, but I started processing my own, and I'm actually getting ready to make some. I've never made it before, and I've had some that's very good, but deer bacon. So it's not truly bacon, but it's ground meat with some pork and a certain cure and spices, and you smoke it and slice it, and it's really, really good. So I'll let you know how that turns out. But I do I like my burger. I like my jerkies. I like my back straps. I like it all.
So before we go, I've got a bone to pick, Mr. Rick.
Is this what just came across the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Says,
it's interesting, and I give them wine.
What's that?
Many may not realize it says Jeff Palmer, I think, but Rick is one of the largest producers of maple syrup every year. great way to enjoy the early spring woods.
Jeez.
So my concern is that I believe, and it could be wrong, but I believe that the mailman must have eaten my syrup because I didn't get any.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
Rick.
La 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 la.
Yeah, get yourself out of this one, Rick.
No, I guess you're gonna have to come. You're gonna have to come back, Paul. I do. And Ron comes from maple syrup country out there. But I do tap my maple trees and make maple syrup. It's a hobby of mine. I love doing it. And I'm a small time operator, but I made 7 gallons this year, which is a pretty good amount for just a small operator. But
I wouldn't know. All I really
neither
have
would I,
is
Paul.
pine trees, and I've got oaks, and oak syrup doesn't exist, so I'm just
So
The
now,
tap your
now I
pine
gotta bargain
trees.
how many bottles of wine does he need? I guess, huh? To get one little thing about it.
Hey, I'll have to make sure I thank my buddy for bringing that up. Hey, I do want to say one more thing before we get running. I was talking to Edwin, Mr. Wingbone himself, earlier today, and he wanted me to mention this. We're going to get him on the show, within the next month. And he is a custom call maker, and he is right now working on a new, and I'm not sure which one he's going to do. He makes so many different kinds of custom grunt calls. They're excellent, excellent calls. But he does butternut and cherry and walnut and oak and maple and on and on and on. He's going to make one, and we're going to give it away on the show. And we're just, I just want to promote that a little bit. Paul, you'll help me figure out a way to how we want to give it away. But, pay attention, be watching the shows, because within the next month, we're going to do that on the show. Excellent, excellent call. You'll be glad you get in on that, if you're able. So, anyways,
I
we
still
about
want to
out
do
of
a
time,
duck
Paul?
show. Oh yeah, we're overtime.
And before we leave, while we're throwing Rick under the bus, he also makes turkey calls, everyone.
Oh
He
yeah,
makes very good turkey calls. Oh, yeah. Might as well let that.
Yeah,
Forgot
no,
about
those are
that.
well,
Yeah,
thank you. I
no.
appreciate that.
So when are we going to do a duck show? We really need to do a duck show because see, ducks is what I know.
Let's okay. We'll do a duck show. I'll work on that. We'll try to get a duck show within the next couple of weeks because there's no seasons really going on right now to speak of. Got a little bit of fishing we can be talking about, but upcoming things and we'll get Mike on again sometime soon, and we're going to talk about bow fishing.
That's cool.
He does a lot of that, and it's pretty cool. And I'm going to be going out there and spending an evening with him bow fishing, and maybe we can get him to get some video and talk about that.
My great grandfather,
waterfowl
he used to go gar fishing, and when you shoot a gar in a flat bottom boat, or you catch a gar in a flat bottom boat, you don't pull that into the boat alive, because you will be swimming home.
Yeah, they get to be a lot of fun. But anyways, hey, the time went fast this evening.
Yep.
I didn't think we were quite to the end yet. But Ron, as always, I appreciate you coming on and helping us out, and hopefully you had a little bit of fun with it this evening.
I had a great time.
And I'll be talking to you. Stay in touch. And Paul, once again, thanks for organizing everything and getting things going. And we're going to try to come up with some different ideas for shows through the summer. We may
I like
be
the idea of how to make maple syrup. I like that idea.
Yeah, can we do how to make maple syrup?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know who we have to get on the show to
What
get
wine
that.
would we put with that, Ron?
I don't even know when. When do you harvest maple syrup? I don't know nothing about it.
Well, long story short, it's nights below freezing and daytime temperatures above freezing. So in March here in Iowa. So, anyways, guys,
he's already made it.
Paul.
I see.
But I've got some. So we'll just have to. If Paul comes up this year to shoot some stuff, he'll have to get himself a jar of maple syrup, I guess. Cat's out of the bag. Cat's out of the bag.
What, Ron? You didn't get one either, though.
Well, and I don't know how much bottles of wine I have to give the guy, but we'll keep working on it.
Hey, I don't play favoritism.
That's obvious.
All right.
Obviously.
All right, so there goes two of my jars. Okay. All right, guys. Speaking
Thanks,
of that,
Jeff.
I'm gonna go have some pancakes with maple syrup. No, I'm not. But hey, I don't know who we got on next week, but we're gonna find something interesting to talk about and get a good guest on. Anyways,
remember, I was the junior world champion duck caller and the junior world champion skeet shooter in 1990 in Stuttgart, Arkansas. So that's why I'm like, can we talk ducks eventually?
yeah, I think we can for sure. I know a lot of duck callers that have won some.
I can prove it because
world
I have the
duck-
trophy, and I've got a picture that I was in the Gazette. So there,
Nice.
Perfect.
Good job, Paul.
All right, dig it out, and I think we got a picture of Bigfoot somewhere. We'll have to pull that one out too.
No. That was just the accidental picture that you took when you dropped your phone.
All right, guys, it's time for me to go have dinner.
Yep.
Ron, thank you very much for being on the
Thank
show.
you, Rick.
Paul, thanks for bringing up the maple syrup.
I did
And,
not bring that up. That was Palmer.
That was
Palmer
Jeff.
talked
I think
about
his name was Jeff.
Jeff.
I know exactly who it is.
It wasn't us. We were just like,
I'll be talking to him tomorrow.
Hey, we didn't know, Paul. We had no idea.
yeah, we didn't know. We forgot. I mean, I know
Okay,
he had some
all
maple syrup. I just figured he went to the store and got a bottle. I
This
didn't
guy
know.
cannot run fast enough, Paul. He cannot run fast enough. Come on.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Catch us next Wednesday. The maple syrup saga will continue. Until then, thanks for coming along. We'll see you next week, guys. Good night, everybody.
Okay. See everyone.